say to me is, look, if I'm going to give this controversial medicine, even though I don't feel it's controversial, but it is controversial, you're giving it to a 9-year-old, then there's no way that I'm going to have, some Eagle 20 sprayed on it, or, some other nasty aspects. We don't even use CO2 aspiration to enhance the grow. It's just very, very pure. And just like with the CO2 extraction, I'm not going to have the throughput that the butane folks are. I'm not going to have quite the weight of those using PGRs and the hardeners and all those things. But that's also not why I got into it. That's not my thing at all. And I just don't think that I could sleep at night if I started doing those things and I started putting profits over people. There's too many aspects in society already who put profits over people. And it's not what I want to be about. It's not what I want to stake my reputation on. And, I just want to project the right image for this industry, because it's very controversial in a lot of people's eyes. And when you're doing things that are not truly helping the industry move forward, you're just holding all of us back. And that's not who I want to be or what I want to represent. So I know I've been a little long-winded here, but that's just a little bit about my background, what I do, how I see it, and why I'm so passionate about this, because it saved my life. I've seen it save other people's lives. People weep on my shoulder, tell me that I gave their life back to them, that they would not be around without me, their family members crying. And it's just a very, very powerful thing that helps drag you out of bed every morning and fight against the man, so to speak, to help these people that really need access. And I'm very passionate about it. And I know that they are eternally grateful for the sacrifices that folks in this industry have laid for them.
It's a pretty amazing story. Hopefully everybody that is watching this, at some point, I probably were looking over here going, what in the heck is this guy doing? At some point, I think we lost the stream and came back, because I was watching chat and I'm like, it's like Eagle down and whatnot. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And then looking at everything on my end, and it's saying we're live. And I'm trying to find it on YouTube, and it had completely disappeared for a minute. And in like 10 minutes of the first half already posted. And
Oh,
then
wow,
all of a
really?
sudden, as you were talking, it clicks on, it says you are now live streaming. So it picked up again, like midpoint. Hopefully when it reposts, it will repost all as one
Yeah, I don't know if
video.
I could
You
repeat
seen
all
it?
that.
Oh, no. I don't expect you. I'm sure they got it at one point. That's for sure. But you might have noticed I hit the record button at some point there. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm losing this, but I better start recording it just in case. Just in case something goes wrong here. I could
No,
fix it.
I was just kind of in a zone, trying to put 10 years worth of material into, 5 or 10 minutes. So I didn't really notice anything,
No worries.
to be honest.
So, I gotta ask first off, are you still friends with the people that introduced you to the cannabis? I know that it sounds weird, but I
Yeah.
would consider that to be a favor. Looking
Yeah.
back, that's for sure. I mean,
The
it's
two
odd
guys,
somebody would say, "Thank God, goodness for the person that gave you marijuana," but thank goodness for the person that gave you marijuana.
yeah. And those two guys are two of my best friends to this day. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, they often laugh because back in those days, I would maybe take one hit, two hits, and I would just be, laid into the couch. But now, it's not like that at all. Obviously, through all my different products and experience and flower and this and that and the other thing, the tolerance level is quite different these days.
I can only imagine with the extracts part of it coming in. And I'm quite serious with that. The thank you on their aspect of it because I hate. I have a lot of people that have been addicted to pharmaceuticals in my
Yeah.
family, and it's terrible. It's actually the damage it can cause. So to hear somebody that could have went down that road and came back, I'm always glad to hear it for sure
I
because
wear a
it's a
wristband
slippery
now
road.
that says, I don't know if you can see, it says pharma free. Can you see that?
Must have been pretty close.
Yeah, and it's a damn shame that um, we can't provide more access to this wonderful plant to people who are in need. And now with the whole COVID-19 thing, there's some studies coming out saying how cannabis is helping in the fight against it. And a little story, backstory on that. I'm pretty positive that I had COVID-19 in February, the first part of February. Um, I was sick for 2 weeks straight. I had 103 plus temperature for about 7 days. Um, I was just taking, over the counter meds and everything, just trying to battle it. I didn't know it was COVID, obviously, at the time. I just thought it was some kind of cold or flu bug or something. And about the seventh day, I was changing my clothes like 4 times a day, sweating through them, taking hot showers, just miserable. Body temperature couldn't regulate. And as I mentioned before, I make full spectrum oil, which is basically like ultra refined RSO, which I know a lot of you are probably familiar with. But in my CO2 process, we're able to refine that down into a nice, beautiful amber color where it's nice and clear and it looks great. So anyway, I had made a tincture with probably about 10,000 milligrams of full spectrum oil in it. And one day I'm like, fuck it, I'm taking this, and so I threw a few milliliters under my tongue, swallowed it, laying on the couch in misery. And next thing I know, I'm laying there and I'm like, I don't feel that bad. Like my body temperature had finally regulated and it wasn't just doing this all the time. And I'm kind of looking around, I'm like, wow, you're really high. Like I even forgot if I had taken the tincture or anything. And from there, I started to feel better, but from there I got the cough. I don't know if you've heard about that, but obviously it's an aspect of COVID with the lung aspect. The cough was so bad, I threw my neck out. I lost my voice for about 4 days. I pulled some muscles in the back of my neck, but I just continued to take the tincture and then some azithromycin as well. And I was about a day away from my family making me go to the hospital for it. But the tincture pulled through. I came out of it and I was just even further confirmed in my mind how powerful this really is. And then 3-4 months later, people start sending me articles, talking about cannabis and COVID, and how they're doing some Israeli studies on the interaction between the two, and it's just a real damn shame that we've been gaslit and filled full of propaganda for decades and decades that this is just such a horrible plan. It has no medicinal use or aspects to it, and it's just a big crock of shit. And that's something that I fight against every day. And I'm sure you do too. And, the others that you have here on the show, and, a lot of the members of the community. So just a little story I wanted to share, for the power of cannabis and all types of diseases and viruses and illnesses. It just is incredible. It really is. Are you there? Uh, I guess I'm the host now, huh? So it's just the Dave hour. Quick shout out to my partners at Sacred Valley. Some really good dudes, and we've just started collaborating here in the last month or two. Some guys growing some really good weed, and happy to process all their product. There he is. Did you freeze?
Sorry about that. Zoom can be a beast. Sorry about that. So I don't even know where you left.
Well, it said I was the host.
So sorry.
It said I was the host for a minute, so I just said it was the Dave hour. So I just did a little shout out.
You're one of the few. I think you're the second. That was like one of the few. It hasn't happened in a while, but I used to warn all the guests that came on that this was a possibility. But I'm glad that you just kind of took over and knew what to do there. But I don't know what's going on with Zoom, but if something happens again and I drop out, just roll with it, and
I got you, brother. No worries.
Catch up when I hop back in. But
your stream looks better now, I do have to say. You looks like you changed angles.
Well, this is actually my phone, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's got a much better camera.
There we go. So yeah, I was just giving a quick shout out to some of my guys. We're working on some branding right now to try to get some of our full spectrum oil into some dispensaries so that we can get it out to more patients. I make a wide variety of products, and most of them are derived from the full spectrum oil because, in my opinion, and in the opinions of some of the doctors that I've met along the way, it is the best way. So I make, different flavors of tincture, topical creams in different scents, make like a roll-on, which is helpful for folks on the go, and it's a topical application as well. I'll also make some sex lube, which also always gets a few chuckles out of folks. But
it works.
It works. Yeah, it works. I always like to say it increases blood flow, and that's an easy PG way to say it for those who are like, oh, that sounds weird, or whatever. Don't knock it till you try it.
Then you'll be back. So I guess and I hate to mean. I gotta turn one of these off. This is my backup. I'm just gonna let that one be. It'll pop off the screen now. It'll turn off the camera. And the double audio, by the way, should stop. Oh, I don't mean to beat a giant horse here or nothing like that, but as far as wanting to help somebody, I think the best way to revert back to that is kind of get back to a little bit to your initial problem there, and how you got away from the pharmaceuticals, because as you were kind of into, that's one of the biggest battles I see that cannabis can help with, is to get people off that opiate use. That's not easy.
No,
That could be a demon. Uh,
it's a demon for a lot of
and
people, and it's a shame that it was just really forced upon all these folks, from military folks to regular folks like us. Um, and a lot of it started in the late 90s when, the government pushed a lot of that. Where the whole pain score came from. Like, is your pain a 1? Is it a 10? Is it a 7? And anything above a 5, here's some opiates, like, there you go. And then for them to just constantly deny that it was causing other issues and suicide and death and addiction, and the rise of the heroin epidemic again, because you know now what they're doing is just pulling the opiates away, but they're not doing anything to help the patient in other aspects. So the body is fiending for those opiates, and where else can you get them at a cheaper rate? Now we got heroin, and then next thing you know, it's changing the brain function and the circuitry of the brain, and that's leading to more petty crime, to stealing, to robbing, to swindling old people out of their money or whatever, just so they could get their fix. And I've seen it so many times, and it's just really sad. And I think those folks like myself could benefit tremendously from having access to cannabis. And that's where a lot of people feel hopeless, because I think that they would try cannabis and I think that they would give it a fair shot, but they just don't have access. I'm so thankful and appreciative that I've been able to move to Michigan a few years ago. Didn't know anybody, ingratiate myself into the cannabis community, um, get to know people, and just know that I do things the right way. And I've built up a nice group of folks who are very supportive, and we help each other. And it's just not like that in a lot of states. You don't really have the access and the availability and the freedom to use, experiment, grow, whatever you want to say with cannabis, and be able to help yourself. If you can't help yourself, there's plenty of other people that will be happy to help you. But in states like Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, um, a lot of places down south for sure, in those Bible Belt areas, and even in the, out west, your Nebraskas, your Kansas, your areas like that, your Iowas. Those are some of the places that have been hit the hardest with opiate addiction and heroin addiction. And it's just like, why are we withholding a natural plant that could possibly save these people's lives and stop this epidemic, and all these people dying and going to jail and prison and so forth? And you're throwing them in prison. I mean, the person's junkie, not a criminal. you know they need mental help, they need physical uh, help from doctors. They don't need to go to rehab and be pumped full of uh, methadone, or all these other alternative opiates, where it's just feeding the addiction. It just goes round and round and round and round. All the while, we have this amazing plant that grows like a weed, that we could grow damn near anywhere to help combat all that. And it's just, it's just really, really sad. And it's part of the reason why I continue to fight in this business and in this industry is to give access to those people and to provide high quality medicine to them. And you know, I experience it firsthand with people down here that don't have access, you know, and they look at me as some sort of like shaman or a medicine man or, you know, something like that. And while that's flattering and it's cool and whatever, and I'm so happy to help, I wish that I didn't have to be that person. I wish they could have access to help themselves without feeling persecuted or like there's some type of pariah. You know, in one of my interviews with my patient, she said, you know, I was so terrified to do this because I was going to be considered a user or, you know, a stoner or whatever that negative connotation that comes along with cannabis. And she said, you know, after I started doing this and I'm not having seizures and I'm getting my life back, she was just like, why were you so stupid? Why were you so scared of some silly law and and a plant that has now saved your life? Why are you so afraid? And it's just been the constant decades long propaganda and gaslighting around this plant. Is I'm just here to fight that and fight for those people who need help like I did.
I appreciate it. I'm telling you, because like I said, if this all battle all could have happened years ago, I mean, started years ago,
We'd be living in a
people like
much
my
different
mother,
world.
my aunts, and a lot of other people that were close to me that lost the addiction battle of, to pharmaceutical drugs. Which
It's a damn shame, isn't it?
when I say I, when I say I've lost a few, I mean I've lost a lot. To be
It's
honest,
very personal to
family
you. I
members.
can tell.
Yes, it is, and but to see what it is pushed on people, and it's the biggest part of the addiction. I think for most people is there is other ways to be helped there, and without that, you know, cannabis is a good one, but them opiates, the biggest thing about that is, you know, they're prescribed to you in such a high dose initially, and then they're not explained to the people that, you know, the side effects that are going to come about, and that you have to wean yourself off, and there will be pain involved due to the medications. I
Right.
think that a lot of times people realize they not don't take the medication right or whatever, and then they feel the pain, and then they think the injury isn't gone, so they continue to take the medication because they think that, you know, the injury's still there, and realistically it's the injury could be healed. It's just the medication pains that they're still feeling, or they've done themselves damage, more damage, because the opiates have, you know, masked the pain, and you went back in and tore it up again, and, you know, and now you are dependent on them. But it's a vicious cycle. And once you're in down that road of addiction,
Telling you.
you know, one becomes two, two becomes four, and you know,
Or
I've
it
seen
becomes
people
8,
take Vicodin like, yeah,
like
candy,
Skittles.
you know, and uh, it's sad. They can eat holes in your liver in no time and just break your
Next
body down in other ways.
next thing you know, you're snorting them and you know, finding other ways to take it in. And like I said, you know, one night I was staring at lines of crushed up Percocet. And like, how the hell did I get here? You know, this was given to me for, you know, to repair some torn ligaments in my shoulder. And you're still in some pain, but they don't tell you that 2 3 months down the line that your body's still going to need this to function. There's no step down, there's no education on like you said, the side effects and what it may cause to do to your mental aspect as your physical aspect of your body, with your liver, with your kidneys. um it was just kind of thrown at all of us. And I just see that as so irresponsible, um on behalf of our doctors and our decision makers. I keep circling back to cannabis, but they want to tell us all these bad things about cannabis, and heaven forbid somebody ever died from cannabis. Then they would just shut the whole thing down. But we have millions and millions of people die from these opiates, and it's just like, whatever. They still do some good, right? And it's like, uh, really? So we've also done some experimentation, with some other natural remedies, so to speak, mixing with cannabis to replace opiates, for trauma injuries and things like that. I know psilocybin. I'm not sure how familiar you are with that, but most folks in the industry are very.
Very.
Um, so some experiments that we've been making is a blend of cannabis and psilocybin, extracted into an oil, to use for pain. That way you're not, ruining your liver and creating this massive addiction and having your kidneys shut down. And it's very powerful. And it's you can make it into a tincture. You can make it into, um, something you can dab into a vape cart. And that way you're just basically microdosing on the psilocybin while you're ingesting the cannabis. And I got to tell you, it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. And there's still a lot of testing to be done, and obviously legality issues and whatever. But for those willing to try, it's it's pretty awesome. And that's also another reason why I chose the CO2 extraction, is because we can pretty well extract anything.
It that's interesting. I'm excited about that, and yes, I do know a little bit about the psilocybin,
Usually
and we've
folks in this
talked
industry
about it
do.
we've talked about it quite a few times on the show with past guests and their microdosing for PTSD.
Right.
Tanasi from Aura Embracing Organics uses it for that. Michigan native recently is trying it for his anxiety and PTSD. BGWG420, which is another big grower here in Michigan, as well, jumping on that train to Wolverine grower. I mean, there's a bunch of us that are on that, but nobody quite as advanced as you know mixing the two yet. I'm excited about that. That's a nice, easy way to
Yeah, I'll tell
mix
you
the
what.
two. And
When you have a full spectrum vape cart that smells and tastes like cannabis, but has microdosing of psilocybin in it, and you just can walk down the street and take a big rip, and nobody knows. And as you probably are well aware of, I mean, it's so good for anxiety, depression, PTSD. It just and there's starting to come, um, studies to prove that, that were really kind of hidden from us for a long time. And you're starting to see a few cities like Denver and some places in Oregon and California where they're starting to decriminalize that, because psychologists are really starting to push, hey, let's use this instead of all these other pharmaceuticals that are just not really doing anything and creating an addiction. Whereas some folks who take psilocybin and really trip and are guided meditation, guided through with a psychiatrist, it ends their depression, or it tames their anxiety, or tames their PTSD. I'm a person who deals with, um, very bad depression and PTSD from, lots of trauma over my life. And so I'm a huge proponent of both cannabis and psilocybin for those very reasons. And I think if the more information we can get out there in a positive way, and to educate people on these things and to show them that they're not the boogeyman, that they're not going to go insane and they're not going to have all this mania, um, it's going to do a lot for the mental health of our society. And I think that that would be a huge step forward for all of us.
Uh, I've heard it work in a few instances as a couple of sessions for some
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
and a couple of sessions versus years of being tied up on pharmaceutical drugs and
being on
antidepressant
Xanax
drugs and shit.
and Klonopin and all those just nasty ass things. They say that Xanax is like one of the only drugs out there that you can die from the come down. The when you're trying to get off of it, it can kill you. And it's like, yeah, that's great. Let's give that to everybody. Come on. It's just we're very backward in society in how we treat illness and how we treat mental illness and how we treat physical illness. And we're so quick to not look to nature, just like the stuff that's sitting behind you. Everybody wants something in a pill or, something created in a lab. And it's like, we got to get back to nature and we got to get back to these things that have been provided to us for thousands of years and used by folks for thousands of years to treat these kinds of things. And I don't know, somehow we thought that we were better than Mother Nature, and it turns out we weren't. She had it figured out long ago. So, just trying to spread that awareness, trying to spread that positive message, um, and to paint cannabis and psilocybin and DMT and, these different natural remedies in a much more positive light is, I think we all need to do that, and represent the cannabis community in the best light possible. Because we all know that there's a lot of Brads and Chads out there pumping, shitty vape carts and this kinds of stuff that makes us look bad. But I think we just got to keep the right positive mindset, the right positive message, and to prove and to show people that, this is real, this is legit. We're not just a bunch of stoners that make money and get high all the time. Like, yes, so do I get high? Absolutely, but that's not the point. um yeah, man, I'm very passionate about this whole industry. I'm very passionate about helping people, and I think that it's been my true calling of why I'm here, and what I'm doing on this planet. um and it's I'll probably do it forever.
I hope so. I hope so. It is
Yeah,
one of them things that once you get that calling in cannabis, that you know it. You just know it. And
you feel it in your
for
bones.
me, and yeah, we talk about this a lot on the show. I mean, you talk about you wish you could help everybody realize that they
Right.
can help themselves. I wish more people that actually, we a lot of people talk about the medication of cannabis, cannabis as medication, but I'm sure you'll confirm everything I'm saying after I say this, but some of the real medication is actually cultivating the plant, being in the
True. That's a
ground.
great aspect. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Just that in itself can be the best, PTSD reliever, best anti anxiety reliever you can have. It's just spending time in that room, cultivating it.
I think
Gives
it
you a whole new respect for it.
I think it grounds you. You know what I mean? It brings you back to earth. it brings you back to the natural state of things, and watching a plant grow, being involved in creating that life. Not to mention the high quality oxygen that those plants are putting off, because their ability to take in more CO2 than any plant on this planet. Um, it really does become like a Zen garden, where it's just you and those plants, and they're talking to you and you're talking to them, and it just becomes this very symbiotic relationship, um, where you can do some healing, and both mentally and physically, really, because it requires you to be hands-on with them. And so I'm so happy you brought that up, and kind of kicking myself for not bringing that up, but that's why you're the host and I'm just the guest.
It's funny that it continues. As it goes on, and boy, the organic people is really gonna love me for this. I'm actually a cocoa and a salt grower, to
Okay.
be honest with you,
Hey,
and
everybody
I get
does
a
their
lot
own
of
thing.
organic people on the show. But this is what I'm getting to is it's all part of the journey of this plant. I've been growing for 20 years, and a little bit in the dirt. I've been in all kinds of medias. Cocoa's just been more dependable and easier. But as I get on, and what I've noticed in a lot of growers is we go on, it does continue to be such a spiritual journey. It starts,
Yeah.
as we grow and we get a whole respect for this plant, and then in time it kind of steamrolls into, again, I almost hate to say this, the organics aspect of it. And then now, it just keeps steamrolling into, you're learning about the soil and the dirt, and now you're wanting to actually dig in and be a better steward of the earth and start, protecting the environment. You
Right.
start,
It just
it's
leads
just,
one thing to another.
yeah, yeah, it's
It
an
starts to lead
incredible
you on that
thing. I
natural
really is.
path, really, you know, where for me, it's going to see a naturopath healer, not a regular doctor. It's doing acupuncture or massage, or different like Chinese medicine with your feet, and different pressure points in your body. And it just really leads you on that path of like, hey, there is a better way, there is a healthier, cleaner path here. And like you said, all of those things start to open up to you mentally, um, when you start to have that interaction with the plant, when you start to have that love for the grow, and just that daily.
That cricket just jumped on my foot and I got it.
Oh, you got it. You spent all day trying to find it.
He literally just jumped on my foot. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was feeling a little bit
No,
of a
no, no.
victory
I,
there.
I know that's you've been battling that for days now, so that's a big win.
I just looked down. I felt something like thunk on my foot. I looked down. I was like, really? Got you.
He had to come out and try to get his 15 minutes here.
He got it.
He
Oh, I'm
got
sorry. It
it. No, you're all good. You're all good.
derailed things there.
Yeah. What do you got growing back there? What do you got rolling? Anything fun?
Oh, man. Oh, a lot of fun stuff. A lot of new stuff here behind me. I've got Med Grower Ones, a couple of his testers. I've got GMO times Primal Punch. I've got wedding cake times Primal Punch. I've got a strain I just got in from the West Coast, Jack Greenstock. Mysteriously dropped off a cut of J1 from California over at, just made it here to Michigan. It's a skunk one times Jack Carrera. It's like a nice California,
Ah, some old
like a
school.
legendary Calif. Yeah, and
Yeah,
some
that skunk.
Orange Boss by North Star. I've got Kineos Lights, which is a Northern Lights 5 back cross by Kenny O's. I've got the
Northern
Hashishin
Lights,
by North
also
Star.
and also classic strain.
The Hashishin, I'm expecting some good stuff out of it. It is Colombian Red times Purple Mayhem.
Okay,
It's looking really good. I've got Godiva by the American one. Uh,
like Godiva
smelling very
chocolate.
dank. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
that. It's a it's a good one. I've got Empire Breedings Dominatrix back there. I have Mid Grower Ones Primal Punch 2s back there somewhere, and of course my creation, which is I always mess it up. It's like right there, looking into the camera, right there. The tall girl there in the back. That's a beautiful loser. That's the strain I created.
What is that
Very
cross?
nice strain. That is Challenger Deep times Winnie, which in the long terms is Star Destroyer times Wizard's Glue times C99 times Durban Poison.
Wow.
And it is like a grape. It's like a grapefruit cheese Danish, both in the bag and when you're smoking it. It's really sedative. I'm kind of proud of
Uh,
that one.
very good. Very cool. I'd love to maybe get some beans from you if you got any or cut.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
be proud to grow
absolutely.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
be proud to grow it.
I'd
How's
love
it
to pass it
produced? Pretty
around.
good.
Oh yeah, she produces well. Nice pine cone like size buds in structure, nice dense, very good.
What do you know about a
Very
63-day
noticeable.
cycle?
She likes to go about 65. You know,
65.
when
Yeah, that's
she's
close. That's
nice
close.
and dense. Yeah, yeah. But well worth the wait for sure.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what's current. I've don't even want to get into the list of things that are just getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll have to send you some samples of some full spectrum oil because like I said earlier in the show, I don't think there's too many people in Michigan that do that from what
no,
I've found. And
especially
it's
from a CO2 extraction. That's something I don't hear of.
yeah. And like I said, I don't have the throughput, like the butane guys do. Um, but man, it's the best you're gonna find. It's just so high quality, and you can taste all the natural terpenes and flavors and smells just like you did from the plant, or if it was in your bag or whatever, because we're able to keep all of those things intact. Whereas, with your short path and your butane and stuff, you're just literally just blasting all of that out. And then you're having to go back and add artificial terps. And, some people have natural ones, but in my opinion, again, my opinion, it's just not the same. And, I want to create medicine, and this is the cleanest and purest way I know how. Um, and hopefully one day when the FDA says, hey, we can do this, I'll already be helping to lead the way on creating clean meds for everybody. So that's just my moral compass, my philosophy, what I hold myself to. Um, doesn't mean that everybody has to do that or anybody else has to do that. It's just, the way I see it and, the way I'd like to do things.
Appreciate the point that you hold yourself to a higher standard. I mean, we had Bingus on the show last night. He was discussing the power of taking a good full spectrum oil, just like you're saying there. He was, he was like, he went on about it. To be honest with you, he found a gentleman that had it in like pretty even ratios across the board on whatever he had. he said he had a sample of it. He was so amazed by how good it made him feel. He went back and tried to strike a deal with the guy, and I guess he had a jar of it. So how much? And the guy was like, trying to. He's like, no, for the whole thing. There, how much
Right.
for the whole? And I guess he ended up taking the whole thing because he was so impressed by how great it made him feel. Because we were talking about like CBD oils, and he's like, no, it's got to be in best in even ratios.
Yeah.
And when it's perfect like that, it is golden. It's amazing how good it makes you feel. And
You
I
know, and
believe it.
some really fun things that we get to do and experiment with in the lab is creating different ratios. You know, say we're taking some T1 CBD hemp that, you know, a Michigan farmer had grown, and then we're taking some platinum cake, you know, obviously THC, and we're doing a 70-30 ratio of one to the other, or we're doing you know, a 60-40 or a 50-50, or, and you know, that way you get to kind of play with that cannabinoid profile and also the terpene profile, um, that we can, you know, potentially down the road start looking at testing for different illnesses, you know, say lupus, you know, this 2-to-1 ratio is the best, or a 4-to-1 ratio, or you know, maybe we don't even need this extra CBD. It's more of THC based because lupus is derived out of the spine and the central nervous system, whereas you know, other injuries or other diseases or whatever, they derive from different aspects of the body. So how those receptors are reacting to the different profiles of cannabinoids, and within that entourage effect where you're having more of one and less of this, and still having, you know, all of the cannabinoids available to the body, you know, to do with it what the body already knows how to do. um, it's it's a really exciting future. I wish that we could get some more help clinically, you know, to check those out. But you know, whether we do or not, we're still going to be continuing to push forward, pushing the envelope, you know, helping people out. You know, I've always been on a sliding scale donation. You know, if you can afford it, you're paying this, so that these folks who can't afford it can still get access and they're still provided the medicine. So um, I'll continue to always do that, to help those in need, and you know, keep pushing this wonderful plant and this wonderful medicine out to, you know, everybody who is in need.
It's so funny you mentioned the sliding scale there because I mentioned the other night I operate on the kind of the sliding scale a little bit
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is, you know. I mean, some folks can afford it and that's great and that's well, and they'll pay for it and they know that they're getting a quality product, and to be honest, that's what it's probably worth all the time. Um, but there's a lot of, you know, folks on the struggle, especially right now with all these people out of work due to the pandemic, and you know, everybody goes through, you know, rough times in their life, and doesn't mean that they don't need help. And just because they can't fork over the premium price for the premium product doesn't mean that they don't deserve access to it. Um,
This is
and
the way
so,
I
I mean,
like
I
to
even
say it.
tell my patients, you know, some of them like, hey, so and so paid this so that I could charge you this, and I come where, you know, somewhere in the middle. That way, I can still pay my bills and, you know, live my life and keep doing what I love.
I like to say it like this to some most people because it's easier for them to understand it, and it keeps me from having to explain the sliding scale to some folks. And that is like for the most part, there's a set price, but from person to person, I do. donate. You know, the amount in which I choose to donate towards whatever is
Right.
up to me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You know, if I, you know, if I feel you're in great position and you, like you say, you can do well and, you know, pay the whole thing, then you're a trooper. Thank, you know, goodness for you and everything else. But sometimes, you know, I supplement. You know what I mean? In my head, I'm the one that's supplementing, and that's my business and their business. Nobody else's. You know what I mean? That's.
Sure.
But other than that, there's pretty much a set price, and that's what everybody pays. And then it's up to my discretion whether or not I want to donate or supplement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know, you give that freedom to yourself to look out for those people in need, and look out for yourself as well. You know, if you're creating a top quality product, you know, then it it pulls a top quality price. You know, if you're got a bunch of mids or a bunch of brick or a bunch of BS, you know, then you're not doing it. You're not getting it. And like I said earlier, I just like to hold myself to a very high standard on that kind of thing. And sometimes I wish more folks would, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but you know, folks like us are pushing this industry forward and really exposing the goodness in it. And you know, I appreciate you having me on very much. I know we don't really know each other that well, but I feel like we have a lot of the similar philosophy when it comes to cannabis and natural remedies for folks.
So too. Uh, how we doing on time? I know we're right about, you know, that hour there that you kind of allotted me. I'm just kind of
It's
feeling you out. I mean,
yeah, I think we're pushing one here, so I probably got another 10 minutes. Um,
okay. It
because
just
I
kind of
got
helps me determine how deep I can dive. Because you seem to be like a person that I could easily go another couple hours.
yeah,
To be
and if
honest
you
with
want to
you.
have me back on, I'd be more than happy to do that, and we can touch on all kinds of subjects. Um, Hopefully, I've given enough information
Always,
about me.
always, always looking for. There's always extraction uh, questions for one. For one,
Sure,
I mean, if you ever want to go that way, just come back and but growing. I mean, the whole. I mean, there's a lot here I can tell that I can talk about with you.
for
But
sure.
the extraction, man, them you guys are hard. You extraction guys for some reason I get a lot of them that like yeah I'll come on, and then the day of it's like yeah no. But
Nobody wants to reveal their secret.
it could be that may be it, but nobody's asking for secrets to be divulged, but there I'm sure there is a lot of beginner questions, and
Sure. I mean, do you have any
you can
questions for
help.
me for now, or
uh
you can
no, I'm
we
gonna
can do a
actually
little
bank them.
question hour? You want me to bank them? All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna bank them. If I've only got 10 minutes left, man, I'm gonna bank them for the next time, man. I'm
Yeah, I'd
gonna
be
kind
more
of
than
just
happy to come back on. Like I was telling you before
well,
we went live, I'll probably be moving up near your area pretty soon. So maybe we can get together in person and uh, do some kind of in-person interview and questions and things like that. I'd be more than happy to do that.
yeah, that's right off the highway, and I'm blasting up and down 75.
Sure.
Slowing down these times, but in good times, quite a bit.
Right.
Good times, quite a bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's see there now with the remaining few minutes I got, then that gives me a chance to explain the other parts of the show. I don't know what time, what schedule you usually keep, but in order to get to the next like kind of phase, if you will, of the show, you have to do this portion of the show. You have to come on. and, and introduce yourself and,
Sure.
whatever. But the Zoom code is always the same.
Okay.
So some nights there's a panel show. Last night was a panel show
Yeah,
where
I'd be more than happy to do that.
we come on, talk about grow, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We have a bunch of people on. So that invitation stands for that. You see a panel show on, you want to pop on, cool,
Great.
jump on in.
Sure.
An after sesh or the rabbit hole, as I call them, like tonight, on on nights tonight, like you didn't go the full distance or not going to go the full distance. I'm not tripping you here, but then the rabbit hole will kick in, and that's like a panel thing. You know what I mean? I'll pop on and kind of finish the night off, and if anybody that's a past guest wants to jump in and help me walk it down to 420, that portion of the show is always open to people that have the number. So now that's you as well. So if you're up late and want to jump in, you're bored, whatever,
That'd
open
be awesome.
invitation.
Are you are
Um,
you on every night?
yeah, yeah, every
Pretty
night.
much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every night, 11:30 to 4:30, 4:20 every night minimum.
Okay.
Sometimes it's actually went till 6 a.m. a few nights. Uh, it's
Well,
hard
yeah.
to it's there's 43 watching right now. It's slow night, but on average I bet you tonight at 4:20 there'll still be 43 people watching.
No
So
kidding.
it's like, how do you slam the door on like 43 people, you know what I mean? So
Right.
sometimes it's like things are
Well,
going
now you're
too
gonna make me
good and
feel
it's like,
bad for doing that.
oh, no, I don't want to make you feel bad. You've already offered to come back, so no worries. I'm stoked.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. I'm
but the
so
other
happy
thing,
that I did this, and
the other thing I want to ask you for is, and this is kind of nice, seeing how you have the radio background here. I gotta get my recording started again. I asked everybody for all the guests for that old school radio soundbite for like I put them together at least it's now that I'm steamrolling, it's going to be every 100 episodes. I'll put these sound bites together. But I've been using them too as advertisements, even though I've been slacking the last few episodes. I'm gonna just hammer them all down here probably tomorrow. But nonetheless, I'm gonna need your soundbite, and that's just like the old station identification type thing. Uh, you can. Oh, one other thing I could ask you before you go is how you got to be the fresh pork chops. But what I'm looking for is,
I knew that was coming.
you could be like, hey, this is David, and I'm fucking talking shit with Eagle. This is episode 139. You can embellish, make it what you want. You can throw the fresh pork chops on there, whatever. But if you could give me your sound bite, my friend.
What's up, everybody? I'm Dave, aka Fresh Pork Chops, and I'm fucking talking shit with Eagle, where a great night beats an awkward morning every day.
Jeez. I love it. That was perfect, my friend. Thank you. Perfect.
A little bit about the Fresh Pork Chops thing. I got the nickname Pork Chop in college about 15 years ago. I used to go to this music festival every year, and I grew up on a hog farm. And so the first year I go, I take like 40 center cut pork chops. And we come back from the show, everybody's wasted. And I bust out the grill and just start making pork chops for everybody, people walking by, people at our campsite, just whoever wants one. And it just kind of, everybody started calling me pork chop from there on. And so I just started bringing them every year, cooking them for whoever wanted them. And I was going to start a blog maybe 10, 12 years ago, and I got the name, it popped in my head, Fresh Pork Chops, because I'd always brought fresh pork chops from the farm. Um, and it just, I don't know, I just created my social media, chose that name, and people always ask about it, and it kind of keeps me unique. It's a very interesting, unique name. Sometimes I've thought maybe I should change it to something more to do with cannabis, but yeah, who knows what the future holds. But for now, it's fun, it's memorable, and it's a little bit of me.
It had me in a little bit in anticipation, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
was like, he's got to be somewhat of a joker. He's got to be
Yeah.
somewhat of a joker.
Very much, very much. I try to keep things pretty light. um and some of that may derive from the depression issues, to just try to keep on the lighter side of things. And I always tell people, laughing and smiling is my favorite thing. So whenever I can do that, it makes my day better, makes my minutes better, it makes my moments better. um I think if people laughed and smiled and hugged each other more, that the world would be a better place. And maybe that's a little hippie of me, but I'll stick by it.
That's perfect. I messed up. My page was stuck. There's 62 watching right
Oh,
now.
dang. Okay.
Not bad for
What's up,
Sunday.
everybody? You can find me at Fresh Pork Chops and Instagram. It was private for a long time, but now it's public. So find me there. I'm not that interesting, I guess. Maybe I am, but anybody that feel free to DM me if you have any questions from tonight, questions on my process, my thought process, products. Oh, it looks like your dog showed up.
Just seeing that in the background. I thank my
But
dog
yeah,
for letting
if
me.
anybody has any questions about CO2 extraction, organic growing, my methodologies, my morals, whatever it is, hit me up. I'll be happy to help. And I'll probably be back on talking fucking shit with Eagle pretty soon, I would say.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you, and I'm stoked that you were able to take time out of your life, your busy schedule, and come hang out tonight.
Yeah, man, I loved it.
Always, it's always a pleasure meeting great people like yourself. And I don't know what it is, if it's just been the luck of the draw, but man, 139, and I've been able to pull out almost 139 amazing people out of the cannabis community, and you have been no exception, my friend. Thank you very
Thank you so
much.
much. Thank you very much for having me. It was very enjoyable. Can't wait to do it again.
But well, we'll talk to you soon, my friend. We'll definitely
All right.
talk to you soon.
Have a great night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
having me.
Good night. Well, you guys know the deal. This is the end of this portion of tonight's show. I'm going to go ahead and end this out and get a drink and come right back to start 139.5, the rabbit hole. You guys know the deal. If you guys are not coming back for the rabbit hole, it's the same old deal. Shout out to 420, but you know the deal. Please do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. I just, I can't, I'll never say it enough. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in a few. Good night.